On the morning of the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah on October 7, 2023, as Representative Wasserman Schultz said, we happened to be in the Middle East at that time, and Hamas terrorists launched unimaginable and barbaric attacks on Israeli citizens by air, land, and sea. These attacks resulted in the death of over 1,300 Israeli citizens, including 30 Americans, and over 250 individuals were taken hostage. Following these attacks, I introduced House Resolution 777 to condemn these horrendous attacks and demanded the immediate release of all hostages in Gaza. However, 4 months later, at least 130 hostages are still being held by Hamas, including American citizens. Earlier this year, I was proud to join Senator Joni Ernst on the bipartisan and bicameral congressional delegation to Egypt, Israel, Qatar, and Bahrain to advocate for the Americans and Israeli citizens still held captive by Hamas. While in the region, we heard from family members, and even though we had heard from family members here in Washington, D.C., hearing from the family members, released hostages, and leaders in the region about the escalation of crimes committed by Hamas against women. And it was heartbreaking to meet with these members of the Kibbutz Nir Oz community and family members of Judith Weinstein and Gaj Haji, American citizens that were killed by Hamas, whose bodies still remain in Gaza. Additionally, we heard the frustrations and living nightmares of the families of Americans still held hostage. Eden Alexander, Hirsch Goldberg Poland, Itai Chin, Keith Siegel, Omar Nutra, and Sagu Dekelchin, and to hear of 2 children, one who has recently turned 1 and the other 4 years old, that are still held in captivity. While I'm grateful for the 100 hostages that have been released so far, it's essential that the Biden administration do everything in their power to demand Hamas release the rest of these hostages. While Hamas released women, children, and grandparents, Israel was required to release 3 times, not innocent civilians, convicted terrorists. Examples of charges of opening fire on Jewish civilians, stabbings, and arsons. I want to thank my good friend from Florida, Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz, for hosting this important special order. And I will continue calling for the safe return of all hostages held by Hamas and to deter the concerning rise of anti-Semitism in the United States.